Hello, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that is the Marshall Davos to the Dice Tower's Napoleon. Actually, I'm much shorter than Tom. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Heroes of Dominaria from WizKids. Heroes of Dominaria from WizKids is a Magic the Gathering board game. It's a Eurogame based on the Magic the Gathering IP. Now, 2 to 4 players essentially are going to try to collect the most points. They're going to do this by collecting mana, by building infrastructure, and having all sorts of kooky adventures. The game board is a map of Dominaria. You have various locations around the board, and you have certain locations in yellow, which are starting locations. Players are going to go around the board placing their first worker in one of those locations, and in the starting locations, multiple players can place their worker in the same location. Now, each player also has a player board. Now, on that player board, you also have additional workers, you have manoliths, and you have these ley lines, I believe they're called. And essentially, they're going to cover up kind of points on the sheet beneath them. So as you remove them and place them on the board, those points become available to you. You're rewarded for building this infrastructure. Now, as the game begins, you're going to place 1 mana on every location of the appropriate color. Now, at the beginning of every turn, you're going to draw a Dominaria card. Now, these Dominaria cards are going to tell you, first of all, where to place mana. What location gets the mana of its color, or you may get some mana yourself. It's also going to tell you whether or not to place an artifact card there or a Cabal token there. Now, as you're going along, as you're moving about your business, you're going to engage in a number of actions with your workers. Now, you have only so much movement to spend, depending on how many workers you've freed. You get, I think, 1 movement point at the beginning of the game. The more you open up, you gain additional movement. And you can split that movement up between workers you have on the board. You also have the ability to collect mana. Essentially, if you go to a location and there's a lot of mana there and no Cabal token, you can go ahead and just take all of that mana and put it in your little mana bank, just next to your player board. Now, you also have the ability to do certain things, especially you're going to be spending mana to do things. For instance, you can build a new worker. You can create a new worker and place it on the board. If you do that, of course, it frees up more points, frees up more movement for you, but also, critically, you have another worker with which you can use to get things done. You can build a manolith. Now, these manoliths are these giant kind of cylinder structures that you put on the board, and from that point forward, you get like a permanent token of that color. So from that point forward, you don't have to pay a mana of that color to the bank. You just automatically, when you buy something, you already get one of those colors taken care of for you. Now, if there is an artifact token on the location, you can actually spend to grab an artifact card. Now, these artifact cards are going to go ahead and help you to accomplish different things. They may get you additional mana at places, or they may give you other special advantages as the game progresses. They may also be worth points at the end of the game. You can confront the Cabal. Now, the Cabal tokens, when they go onto the board, they make it so you cannot grab mana from that location. You can do anything else in that location, but you cannot grab the mana. So one of the things you can do is you can confront the Cabal. If you spend the appropriate combination of mana, you can go ahead and you can essentially remove that token from the board. Now, when you remove that Cabal token, you also put it on your sheet and you cover up the Cabal sheet. Now, here, when you cover up Cabal tokens on your player board, you actually get the highest covered point value at the end of the game. You can build a ley line. Now, a ley line connects one space to another, and it allows you to essentially, when you collect mana from one of those spaces, you can collect it from one of the others connected by ley line as well. You're also collecting points as you take those ley line tokens off of your player board and placing them on the game board. Now, at the beginning of the game, you're also going to get some quest cards, and as the game progresses, you will have ability to get more quest cards as you kind of uncover stuff from your player board and various other factors. You may gain quest cards. Now, quest cards allow you to complete certain missions, and they also will, again, reward you with points, mana, and various other goodies. There's also some public quest tiles, and these are off to the side. If you complete, the first person to complete the public quest gets, I think, 10 points. The second person gets 7 points, depending on what public quest it is. But there's also many of these that are up for grabs as well. 5 of these that are up for grabs as well, and that's another way to gain points in the game. Now, you're going to be playing the game to a set number of rounds. In a 4-player game, it's going to be 9. It's going to be slightly longer for a 3 and 2-player game. Once the game ends, once everybody's gone on their turn, you're going to go ahead and you're going to add up all your points. Points you got on your player board from getting rid of your manoliths, your workers, your ley lines, from collecting Cabal tokens. You're going to get points from any artifact cards you got and any quest cards you got. You're going to look at all the points. Whoever, of course, has the most points wins Heroes of Dominaria. So, Magic the Gathering, Heroes of Dominaria. This is, of course, a Euro game set in the Magic universe. I've said this before on the show. I've never played Magic the Gathering, the card game, for reasons I won't go into right now. I've never played it, but I'm kind of interested in the world. I played the kind of HeroScape version of it, and that was fun. I liked it. Didn't love it, but I liked it. But I was very intrigued with the idea of a Eurogame version of this in this IP. It was, to me, it was very intriguing. So I went down. We played it with my friends, and there's a lot of things about this game I like quite a bit. For instance, I like the IP. I think the IP is fun. I think it works really well here. I like the fact that it's worker placement games are always fun. I always enjoy, and I like the fact that you're uncovering the stuff to see what points you're getting, or if you're getting quest cards or other things. There's a lot here I like about this game. Not the least of all is the fact that this is a pretty simple Euro game. Now, when I say simple, I don't mean uninteresting. I mean simple as in it's a good introductory game. Now, I can play some heavier Euros. I'm not a fan of really heavy Euros, but I appreciate the simplicity of this game, and I appreciate the fact that this, to me, looks like a good gateway game for people. So if you're playing with people who typically just play lighter board game fare or don't play board games, this is a good way to kind of say, this is kind of what board games can do. This is kind of where we're at in a way, and so I like that aspect. Now, having said that, there are some issues with this game. I kind of got the impression, and my group got the impression, that maybe the game wasn't play-tested enough. In fact, Chris made that point, that maybe it wasn't play-tested enough, and I'll tell you why. The game is fun, and it's interesting, and it's engaging, but as the game goes on, those Cabal tokens keep coming out, and consequently, if you are not in a position where you haven't invested in mana or artifacts, manoliths, and artifacts, or you don't have quest cards, you don't have those bonuses kicking in, you've concentrated in other areas, then you kind of get stuck. The last 2 rounds of the game, myself and Christy, who were playing, we really couldn't do anything. So consequently, those last 2 rounds, it really boiled down to the 2 other players were going to win. It was just a matter of who was going to win, and I kind of felt left behind toward the end of those games. So I guess the rule is you need to invest in those artifact cards and those quests and get those manoliths out there as soon as you can, so you kind of don't bump into those problems, because when those Cabal tokens come out, they're going to really screw with what you're trying to do. So that was tough, and I wrestled with that. And the fact of the matter is, I think the game's good. I think the game has its merits and can be playable and enjoyed in spite of that. Just know that going into it. Now, there's a variant rule in the back that says you should place 2 Cabal tokens out at the beginning of the game instead of just 1. Now, we played it that way because I had watched another review where they said you should start with that. And so I went ahead and we played it with that, and it was a good thing we did, because it takes a while to kind of get to a point where you can really build and buy stuff. The game, a lot of the game is just going around collecting, and where you got a finite number of rounds, you've got to get as much done as you can, and if you're collecting, you're not doing other things. And so I think this is a game that might benefit from a little house ruling. you know, I think maybe everybody gets just a mana token here or there for some reason. I just think there should be other ways in which those become accessible. And that way, I think you have much less of a problem with getting stuck. And I think, too, it will kind of allow you to do more in the game than you can at present. I like this game. There's enough here that I like that I'd be comfortable saying, you know, most people would enjoy it if you like lighter Euros and you like, you know, this idea of a good Euro gateway game. At the same time, it's going to be too simple for some people. Some hardcore gamers are probably not going to enjoy it this much. And two, I think you've got to be willing to maybe play with that variant rule and be willing to possibly use some house rules to, I think, really make this game work. Hopefully, at some point, we'll see kind of an errata or 2.0 version of the rules here that'll kind of clarify and make things a little bit easier. I think that would go a long way to making this from a good game to actually a really, really fun game. So the recommendation for the discriminating gamer is try it before you buy it. If you like those caveats, check it out. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, if I were Napoleon, I wouldn't have conquered Europe. I would have spent all of my time and resources trying to conquer your hearts.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
Alright, so now I think that's all I can do. Oh wait, hang on. No. Just hold on, dummy.